Shadows crawl and nightmares call. Brace yourselves, one and all. It's the Scare Factor Podcast, Season 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Scare Factor Podcast, the number one haunt podcast on the internet where something, I don't know, a stupid joke goes here. My name is Bryan of Team Skelegore in Central New York. Joining me, as always, Vince of Team Skulleton Crew in Atlanta, Georgia. Vince, how are you?
I am rested and recovering from a long haunt weekend.
So I heard, yes. How was that? You went to North Carolina, is that right?
I did. Woods of Terror.
How was it? Was it scary?
It was very, very good. I mean, you know, we've had the talk several times of, is it really scary? But entertaining, yes.
Excellent. I love to hear it. So I'm in professional development week this week for work. I would rather not be, but I mean, you know, you work within education, you feel my pain.
I do.
Yeah. It's
professional development. Yeah, it takes a toll.
At least I'm being paid to be there. Also joining us this week, a very special guest, another haunt reviewer, Jarad of Halloween Haunts 365. Jarad, welcome on in. How are you?
Thank you. I am good. I am actually also near Atlanta, Georgia right now.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Interesting. That's cool. So, Jarad, please tell us about you. What does your day job look like? And how do you interface with the haunted attraction industry?
Well, the day job is very random. I go around the country and fix machines to make eyeglasses.
Ooh.
I've been making eyeglasses for about 25 years now, and now I just go around and fix machines.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, very different, very different. And that's currently what I'm doing here and outside of Atlanta. I think I'm in Cummings, Georgia. I'm not 100% sure.
Vince, any idea where that is?
Oh yeah. So it's probably 40 minutes north of downtown Atlanta. Maybe 40, 45-ish. Up 400.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I have no idea.
I do that during the day, and then the wife and I take apparently all year now to go to as many haunts as we can.
Awesome.
I would say like September to October, but now it's pretty much all year.
Yeah, that's it slowly starts to eat up your entire year. So on this show, we are going to try something brand new today. We are going to do our traditional interview format here in a little bit, but I think to really get to know somebody, it's better to play a game where we ask off-the-wall, silly questions in rapid-fire format. You've seen Family Feud, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we are going to play a game, and basically, once I finish, you can have 60 seconds. Answer as many of these as you can. There's 15 questions to answer. If you get through all of them, you win a special prize. So, Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. I'll begin as soon as the sound starts here. Indoors or outdoors?
Indoors.
What scares you the most in a haunt?
Fog light tunnels where you can't see where you're going.
What's your favorite style of haunt?
Haunted house.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Finish the sentence. Actors who say boo.
Fired.
Swiss or cheddar?
Cheddar.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
How do you like your steak?
Blue rare to rare.
What color are your socks?
White.
Milk chocolate or dark?
Dark.
Attacked by vampires or werewolves?
Hopefully vampires.
Hard shell or soft?
Hard shell.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
127.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Apparently, yes.
What's the airspeed of an unladen swallow? I think you had one in there right before the end. What was your answer?
I think it's like 400 feet per second. We'll go with that.
All right, yeah. So we'll count that. So you sir have won the unique ability to tell people you have appeared on the Scare Factor podcast.
Yes, I will take that to my grave.
Like 5 people in this whole world are actually going to care, and 2 of them are on this show right now.
And we care.
Yes, we care. So yeah, you were going to win that even if you hadn't finished. That was always going to be the prize. So Halloween Haunts 365. Tell us about this.
All right, so about 10 or 11 years ago, this is happening right now. Me and the wife went to a bunch of haunts in our area. I've been in and out of haunted attractions since I was 4 years old. I grew up on the Jersey Shore. That's just what you did. Um, so we went to like, I don't know, four or five. And then this list came out from USA Today, the 10 best, which we've all seen because it just dropped again. And I was like,
Mhm.
what is this? This one's not even open. So had a dumb idea that, you know what, I'm gonna make a website. I'm gonna start, writing reviews about haunts half seriously. Like, we take it seriously, but we'd like to have fun with it. So we started that as a blog about 10 years ago. And then 2020 happened. Not just COVID, but we were also getting married. So we had that going on, COVID going on, and then we just had an off season. Before that, I was noticing the blog just, it wasn't fun. It was fun going to the haunts and meeting everybody. That was great, but the views were stagnant. Everything was just stagnant and flat. So, like after the wedding, I sat down, like, do we continue this? Because if we do, we're going to have to change. And then I made the crazy decision to put myself on camera and head into the YouTube universe. And as you guys know, that's a crazy, crazy time. So this is I think our fourth season on YouTube coming up. And I like to think we're going at a decent pace for such a niche content, but we do scoring videos, quote unquote. But I think a lot of people just watch to hear what we have to say about the haunt.
Yeah, and that's like you said, we do the YouTube thing as well. That's mostly Tyler and Nora. I know some of the other teams do videos. I do some walkthroughs. Brad and Faith, who are one of our North Carolina teams, Team Living Dead duo. They're in North Carolina, so they do they do walkthroughs as well. I think Tiffany of Team Terror Techie is up in the Pacific Northwest. She does some. So we have teams that are doing walkthroughs, but video reviews is not something. I think in the past we've kind of done something similar to that, but it's not quite the same format that you're doing, where we're sitting in front of a camera talking about like the visit that we had. It was always kind of on the spot at the haunt. Oh, hey, this thing was great. I really liked this thing. Come out and check this out if you're in the area. That sort of deal.
Yeah, we'll just sit down. I set up, I don't know, we have 37 on the books, just us. We have a couple other guys that help us out. So I'll make all the Google Docs so we can keep notes as we're walking through. I will do walkthrough videos, but I'm very picky with this, like I'm sure you are with audio. If I'm not getting the picture I want out of the camera I have, I don't want to do it.
I feel that so much.
Like in Woods of Terror, like you guys were just talking about earlier, the behind the scenes was cool because a lot of the lights were on, the camera was working nice. I got some good footage there, but it was my first time there. I didn't want to record during the live show because I wanted to see it. And I have a vision in my head of how I want these to look, and Tyler and Nora are a big component of that. So until we can pull off the right equipment, I have just the right equipment now to do midways, behind the scenes, and some show.
Mhm.
Like all season events, I'll film inside because I probably went during the season, and even that I'll just do when the actors come out. Because for us, we really just like to shout out the actors because without them, are these any fun?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I think we've gotten into that in the past on this show.
Team Skulleton Crew's done a couple of walkthrough videos. I will say, when I was behind the camera, I came out of the haunt feeling like, I didn't really even take in a whole bunch of that because I was focused the whole time on trying to frame everything in for video. So I got to say, in a walkthrough video sort of thing, I don't want to be the one behind the camera because I'm not absorbing the haunt that way.
Right. Especially the first time going through. Like if we were to go to, I don't know, we go to Field of Screams twice a year. So if we were to do a walkthrough there, I'd have no problem because I can pretty much map my whole step before even walking in. And I know the show. So, like you said, Woods of Terror was brand new for us. I was super excited to be there. So I told the wife, I'm like, we'll do behind the scenes with the tour guide and all, but I'm not filming inside.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, and I've done that too with some haunts where the first time I go, I'm so focused on making sure I'm getting the framing right and I've got everything lit up well enough and I'm just really not engaged. And, I'm usually there on a review visit while I'm shooting video.
That's tough.
So, and it is, right? But, the beauty of that is like I was there. So I am kind of absorbing the physical experience of being there in the space. And that's something you can't really get from a video. But then later, as I go back and I pull up the video, I can watch that all the way through as many times as I want as I'm writing my review.
We started actually, we learned that the iWatch, when you hit voice recording, picks up everything. So it's amazing. So we'll hit record, name off the attraction or whatever we're walking into, and just let the watch run until we're out, stop it. So A, we have the time of the attraction. B, we have everything that happened in there that we could play in the car speakers on the ride home. So we found that tool completely blew our mind.
Yeah, and that's a trick that we've been using for, I'm sure, longer than I've been around at the Scare Factor. That was something that Tyler and Nora taught me about.
And it was Tyler and Nora that gave me that idea. She said, wear a microphone. I'm like, but if I'm going to a brand new haunt, they don't know who I am. I'm not strapping a microphone to my neck. I'm just, so we were thinking about it. My buddy got me a voice recorder to put in my pocket, but then I got to carry that around. So then we started testing the iWatch. I'm like, holy shit, this picks up everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been using a wired, do you remember when cell phones actually used to come with accessories? In the long ago. I had a phone at some point that came with a single earbud with a little microphone on it that has, the little eighth inch plug on it. These days I have a little DJI mic that I can plug the mic right into. Yeah. And so, that just kind of clips onto my pocket or onto my belt or something. And then, I run the mic up my shirt and it clips to the inside of my shirt and nobody ever sees it. And it's hidden well enough at a point that I'm talking to myself in a scene. Because, that's what we do at the Scare Factor. We go to a haunt and we're talking about what the scene looks like and what the actors are doing and what they're wearing. It's because we want these notes when we come home to write the review. And
I'm talking to my watch like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, and actors are looking at me like, who are you talking to, dude? And I'm like, don't worry about it. If I really wanted to, I could absolutely get away with bringing that in and just not telling anybody, and nobody would be any the wiser. Yeah. But, it's like at that point, I then can't talk to myself and describe the scene because then I kind of give the game up, right? So I kind of have to get back into the habit of telling the haunt owners, like, by the way, I wear a mic. Here's the reason for it. The audio never goes anywhere. I need notes when I get home so I can write about the cool shit in your haunt. Please tell your actors I'm not crazy.
Completely understand.
And I do something very, very similar. I've got a wired lapel mic that plugs into my phone, and I just use a voice recorder on my phone. And that gives me the timing of the haunt as well as my notes.
Yeah, and the thing I do is because I always forget to turn the recorder off once it's on, or sometimes I forget to turn it on. That's never a good one. Forgetting to turn it off is whatever. So I've gotten into the habit of turn it on while I'm in line. And then as soon as I start the attraction, I will say the word start or begin. And then at the very end, as I'm walking out, I'll say end.
That's genius because I'm sitting there at the door waiting for her to tell us to go in or to hit this button. So maybe I'll start doing that.
Yeah, because usually and I'll start it, as there's one or two people ahead of me in line.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go in and I know it's going to be in the next couple of minutes. So it adds a few minutes to your recording, but then you have that definitive, this is where I started, this is where I ended. even if I forgot to turn it off or something.
Yeah, because you can hear the sounds or stop, or you even say, remember to say it. Yeah, makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and it's a good habit that I've gotten into, and it's gotten me out of a jam once or twice where I'm like, I can't tell where this attraction ends in this recording. I have no idea what's going on here. So having that like start and end, I'm like, okay, at least I have an accurate timestamp of how long this took. So for the listeners playing along at home, I've not given up the topic yet. I mean, you've seen the title, whatever, you know what's going on. For anybody that's listening and has no idea what's going on, like me, this week we're talking about why do we attend haunts? What's the appeal? So, I think we're going to start pushing the conversation in that direction, but I'm just really enjoying getting to know Jarad.
Yes.
Anyway, back on topic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. This is a haunt podcast, isn't it?
That's what we do, right?
Oh, yeah. No, what we do as haunt reviewers is we all get together and we start bullshitting about everything under the sun except for haunts. Point number one, why do we do this? I love this industry because of the camaraderie that I have built with others through this. I have made some incredible friends through this industry that I don't think I otherwise would have, right? And they're like weirdos like I am, right? They like the same sort of weird, spooky shit.
It's the relationship building for me. It's 10 years of doing this, and East Coast is like just that holiday party because they're all in my backyard. I know all of them. So the first East Coast Haunters convention I ran out of breath. Like I was in a wheelchair too. I broke my ankle. I still went. And the amount of talking I did that day was probably more than I ever did in my entire life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was wild. This past year, or this year, I guess, 2025 was the first year that I had gone. To be honest with you, it was the first haunt convention that I'd been to. In previous seasons of the show, I've gotten into why I don't go to Trans World. It's a whole thing. We're not getting into that.
I'll tell you why I don't go. It's not for us. You know what I mean? Like it's for them. It's for them to buy their stuff, for them to go over stuff. That's their planning time. I don't want to shove a camera in everyone's face while they're trying to make deals for their year. You know what I mean? It's their shopping spree.
I totally get it. I totally get it. After we're done, bring that back up because, boy, we are going to have a conversation about that. Yeah, one convention there's two conventions I do really want to make it to at some point. One of them is Summer Scream out in LA.
Yes.
Just because like I've heard some amazing things about the haunts that attend that, and I mean it's LA, right? It's you're just going to see some really wild shit. The other is MHC. It's kind of like the original haunt enthusiast convention, right? It's the trade show floor where you find all sorts of cool stuff that you can buy either as an enthusiast or as a haunter or whatever. And then on top of that, all of the haunt tours and then all the stuff that's happening live, the seminars and all this other stuff. There's just so much going on. And at some point I'd really like to go see it, but I live in Syracuse, right? So I have to get to Chicago for a weekend at a time of the year where it's just like, it really isn't that feasible for me to do.
No. And that's another reason for Trans World, because I told the wife we would go once just to say we were there. We are haunt content, so we have to say we went to Trans World once. But it's around time where we can't take time because we save all our time for now, so it just never works out.
Yeah. So speaking of like going to haunts and going to all that stuff, how many haunts are you seeing in a given year? Like, let's say from September 1st to the first weekend in November, like how many haunts are you visiting during that like prime haunt season?
We're averaging about 30 to 35 a year.
That's wild.
This year we have 37 on the books, and there's a possible 38th if it plays out correctly.
I think Tyler and Nora still have you beat. I still think they're doing like 40 or something.
They're insane.
They are, but you've met them, so this tracks
really well. Yeah.
I mean, it tracks, right?
Do all 37 of those get a review then?
Oh yeah. I'll do a video recording of all of them.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah. And I have a guy that covers some of Jersey and PA that I can't get to. And then I have a guy in Ohio who gets to like 6 or 7 for me. And there actually might be a Utah guy. We'll see. So there's a chance at maybe 70 videos this year. We'll see.
That's going to be wild. Your schedule is going to be packed, uploading
Yeah, it
videos
is.
and talking about that stuff.
Luckily, I don't do a ton of editing. I like my stuff very real, very raw. So I've gotten the scoring videos down to a template that takes 10 minutes. Then it's just us sitting there talking, record, upload, and head to another haunt.
So have you considered doing the ones where you're not attending, right? Let's say your Utah guy goes to a haunt and, he's got a little write-up or something. Have you considered doing a sort of like video podcast format where, you do your intro, you talk about your thing, you push whatever sponsors you've got, and then, you have that person who went and you can then discuss.
We've done that with off season because it was easier to line up. But when I'm trying to push out, because on average we're going to hit 3 to 5 haunts a weekend. So Sunday, I have a lot of work to do before we head to a haunt that night. Because usually I'm on a plane Monday and I can't do this kind of editing remotely. So I would 100% love to have them on. I do have a StreamYard or an MVux now because StreamYard sucks. Sorry. And then have them talk about it with me. So, but the timing just does not work in season. And like, if I can save it to set it up to do that, I will. But usually it's just, I got to get these out. We got to go.
Right. Yeah, I understand, the time crunch is real, right? It's like for us, if we're getting comped tickets, we have to have our reviews submitted so that like in enough time that they can be published within 7 das of our visit. Because that's what we promise. If we go to a haunt and we say, hey, I'd like to get a comp ticket, I'll write a review, yada, yada, this, that, the other. When the haunt says, when am I going to see this review? We can definitively tell them within 7 days. Now, obviously, we're aiming for shorter than that, but I mean, like, I'm usually hitting like 5 to 6 days on that. Because, like, I write novellas for all of my reviews. For those of you listening, if you've read Skelegore reviews, you know what I'm talking about, right? I average 3,000 words in a review. Like our minimum is 1,200. I'm more than doubling that.
Yeah.
So, it's add on top of that, I live in the Northeast. There's a ton of haunts in the Northeast that are like 5 attraction haunts. So I don't want a haunt to feel that I'm shorting them on like, you're kind of just skimming over things and, you're not like really delving into it because like, that's not the reputation I've built for myself and I'm kicking myself in the ass for it.
No, yeah. All of our haunts up there have 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 attractions. And it gets time consuming reviewing every attraction.
Yeah,
like
that's wild.
Our videos can be anywhere from, for a haunt review, anywhere from 10 to 15 to 50 minutes. You know what I mean? It just depends on where we're at and what we're doing.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And it's like, and it's every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh yeah.
It's every week. Some haunts are, you get lucky and you find a haunt that's open on like a Tuesday or something, but
Those are the best.
Well, it's a rough week when maybe you've hit 4 haunts over the weekend and then you've got 4 reviews to try to get done. I mean, that's your week's evening there. I'm just thinking
you want to try and get it out early for the haunts like you guys do. That's 7 days, but you also want to try and get it within that peak view window, which really is September 30th to like October 15th. That's your peak Halloween viewing on YouTube right there.
Oh yeah. Yep, that's where all of your reviews are going to come from.
100%. So after that peak, I may take a day and do the review the next day and then space them out a little bit. But I don't want to keep the haunts waiting because, I'm constantly, like I'm sure you guys do, get messages all day. When's that coming? When's that coming? When's that coming? Like Woods of Terror, I've answered 32 messages about this video. I'm like, guys, it comes out Wednesday. Calm down.
A lot of times what happens is we tell them like, look, I don't know when this is going live because
Yeah.
it's not my YouTube channel to manage, right? It's I go, I shoot the video, I bring all my footage home, I edit that, and usually that's coming after I've written the actual review because I want to make sure that gets done on time. That's the really time sensitive thing. You know, if the video has to wait an extra 3 days or something, whatever, who cares? Because
Yeah.
it's probably going to be 2 weeks before it comes out anyway. Because, you know, it's like you don't want to flood. The problem with YouTube is YouTube rewards consistency, right? YouTube rewards 1 to 2 videos a day sort of consistency. And if you're following that schedule, it's going to throw more and more and more traffic at you. If you flood the system with like 7 videos in a day, it
They're
doesn't
not
know what to
fans.
do. You're not getting traffic because it doesn't know what to suggest to viewers. You know, so it's bad form to like. That's the tricky thing about where we are in this creative space, right? Is like, how do you have all these videos that are coming in, and you know, how do you manage that, and you know, still grow your YouTube channel?
Yep. And you got
So
to think of haunt size and name.
right,
Because
you know,
we all love the little guys. I love the little guys, but if you post like 4 straight little guys, you kind of lose that algorithm. So you got to throw in that Netherworld or Field of Screams or Reaper's Revenge or HHN to boost that algorithm back up to throw in another little guy. It's so weird.
right. Every batch has got to have that Hell's Gate sort of
Yeah,
name that draws people in because it's like, yeah, the person that lives in Watertown, New York is going to immediately click on North Country Nightmares. They want to go see the video of the haunt that is in their hometown.
yep.
But, you know, the person who lives in San Antonio, Texas, they've
They're not
never
clicking
heard
that
of
button.
Watertown, New York, let alone North Country Nightmares, but they've heard of Hell's Gate Haunted House, right?
Yep,
So
they're gonna click that instantly.
right, they want to see that one. And like, don't get me wrong, I totally get it, right? It's with a haunt like Hell's Gate, you're talking this, you know, huge production value, and you're just talking like such a world famous show that it doesn't matter if you've heard of this tiny little haunt that's putting on, you know, a great show for the budget that they had and the crew that they're working with and whatever. Like, you want to see what Hell's Gate is doing.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, like, you know, and us
my
especially.
my wife is a district manager now, so she's been doing a little travel of her own, and she ended up in Chicago in October. I'm like, you got to go to Hell's Gate. I'm
Oh my
afraid. I'm
god.
like, listen, you got to go to Hell's Gate. This is happening, whether you want it or not. You're going to Hell's Gate. You're there. They're
Hell's
open
Gate is
all
so
week,
good.
and she absolutely loved it. I was like, I told you, we needed Hell's Gate. You're
It's
there.
so good.
Like this is how I get the random haunts. I did a couple of Vegas haunts because I was working out there and they were open. What was the name of that haunt? It was awesome though.
Was it
It was
Freakling Brothers?
yes, Freakling Brothers.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that was unique and I loved it.
So isn't
Yes.
this is kind of the life, right? Anytime you're traveling to a new city, it's like, what haunted houses are in that city?
Yeah, and I have to give a shout out to Terror Tours, Troy. I got stuck in Dallas. Um, American Airlines kind of screwed me, and I was stuck in Dallas for 2 days. So Troy pulled some strings, and I got to meet Alan and go do a behind-the-scenes tour at Dark Hour. That's awesome.
That is
So yeah,
awesome.
I keep a mental note, even in the off season, because you never know who's where, and see what I can check out when I get stuck places, or if I'm just sitting in hotel rooms like tonight.
So, I mean, you go see a lot of haunts every year, you know, between you
Oh yeah,
either just, you know, through the travels that you're doing through work or, you know, your wife and, you know, as she's traveling for work or together as you're going just to go see haunts. Um, you have either one of you ever worked for a haunt or
no, no. This has just been a child-based love for me. She's always gone. She took her kid when he was young. And now I actually have to, I lost a bet. So I actually have to act at a haunt this year. So that's going to be
oh man,
entertaining.
what haunt?
Valley of Fear. I'm
Valley of
probably
Fear.
going to do it October 29th. It's a Wednesday. They're open. And yeah, I have to go act.
That's PA, right?
Yep.
I
So,
think one of our teams is doing that one. I'll have to look that up, and I'm gonna tell him he needs to go see that.
oh God, don't judge them on me. Oh man, now that haunt has really, shoo. You talk about becoming a butterfly. That place is some real. I've always loved it, but now it's on the map.
Yeah. So so getting back to the topic at hand, why haunts? What's the appeal? Like in your opinion, what really is the appeal for haunted attractions? You know, why should people
For
go to one?
I'm gonna give two answers. One for us lunatics who loves this stuff and grew up on this stuff is we're addicted, and it's a great night out. That's why I keep doing it. I love the industry. I love the actors. I love the builders. I love the crazy stuff makeup artists can do now. And for laymen, the normies as I call them, it's a fun night out that you don't get to do that often. It becomes like a fall ritual. They all hit that one haunted house a year. I I think it's more the night out aspect now than being scared. Because I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, you walk through a house for 10 minutes, that was it. Now places like Field of Screams, Markov's, Reapers, there's midways. You could spend all night there, like
100%. I
like
I did
Woods of Terror.
I did Halloween nights at Eastern State Penn last year because I happened to be in Philadelphia during their last weekend. And I mean, we were there from literally when they opened. And I mean, we were on. So, if you've ever, I think you've actually gone because So before we started recording, I was telling you we did our homework. We watched some of your review videos. We kind of scrolled through a little bit, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute.
Okay.
But so I did see that you guys talked about Halloween nights, and so like I didn't get a chance to watch all of that, but I wanted to ask, did you park your car at the zoo? Or did you just like kind of get an Uber over there, or did you take the train or something? Or
No, that night we got lucky as hell. Excuse me. We got lucky. When we do, it used to be Terror Behind the Walls, and we used to go every year, and it was amazing when it was Terror Behind the Walls. Not a huge fan of what it's become. It's still a fun night out. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating. But we would drive by the prison because there is a parking lot next to it. Once in a while, you could find that spot, and last year we found that spot. But there has been years where I had to park at the zoo.
and like you said, it used to be Terror Behind the Walls. It was a lot scarier when it was Terror Behind the Walls.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, you gotta transform sometimes. So I get it, but I'm spoiled because I got to see the original show.
Yeah,
But still, you're in Eastern State Penitentiary. It's fine.
I mean it's a creepy place in general, right? So
100%. 100%.
I actually got to see that one too when it was Terror Behind the Walls.
Yeah,
yeah,
I missed
and it
that
was a
show.
great show then.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that's missing now, not to derail our conversation even more, but I think the thing that's missing there now is more the fact that they're not really leaning into the whole "it's an old prison" thing, because the politics of prisons and people who are in prison, that the politics of that has shifted so much
Yeah.
post COVID. So, it's the group that runs Eastern State now. They do so much work advocating for, the rights of people in prison, and they have this I'm sure you probably saw it when you were there. They have the display around the back there where it shows like, the number of people who are incarcerated per country.
Yep.
And the US is number one. USA. Um, we got to be number one at something, right? And it is kind of crazy, right? That we imprison more people than almost any country in the world. So like I get it, the politics and the optics have changed, but so Terror Behind the Walls, they really did lean into the like our haunts are prison themed.
They rolled around in SWAT gear. Do you remember that? And they would throw you up against like these 20-foot wide cinder block walls, and they'd shine the giant, uh, the inmate spotlight on you. Like it was crazy.
I mean, and they really lean into it, and that's
Yeah.
you can see the shift in like, the groups that are running it and all that. But I will say this, the group that's running the place now, they're doing so much more for restoring the building and
Yes,
making
100%.
more of it accessible. It's back when it was Terror Behind the Walls and the group that was in charge then, they weren't doing as much for the restoration of the building. So walking tours during the day, there wasn't, you couldn't access very much of the prison. It was
Right.
like, okay, here's a few cell blocks that, are safe enough to have tour groups walk through. And they basically explained that, like, yeah, they all look like this. And they would show you, like, this is a newer part of the prison, this is an older part, and you can see the differences and that sort of thing. But, now there's, like, so few spaces that you can't go into. But the fact is, they're still working on just restoring those.
Yeah.
So,
Because I remember one of the haunts used to take you right down Death Row. And Death Row was basically falling into the ground. Because
yeah.
you would walk past the ruins of it, basically, into that. I think it was a plant haunt back then.
Yeah. So, and I think I haven't done the actual, daytime off-season walking tour of that building, but I think you can go into part of that. I think they're still restoring what used to be Death Row, and surprisingly enough, this is turning into a history podcast now.
Yeah.
So no inmates were ever actually executed at Eastern State. They didn't do the death penalty there. They didn't
Correct.
have a death chamber. So anybody who had been sentenced to death in the state of Pennsylvania, they were sent to Penn State Pen, which is in like central Pennsylvania, which is still a prison today. It's been updated. I think the old building is still there, but it's not a place you can tour. But yeah, Pennsylvania, as far as I know, still has the death penalty. They still do executions there. So, it's a whole thing.
Yep.
Hi, welcome to History Hour. My name is Bryan. This is a haunt podcast, remember?
The history adds to the haunt, though. I mean,
It does.
Terror Behind
It
the
does.
Walls, Penhurst, Eloise, Trans-Allegheny. I don't know if Trans-Allegheny is a haunt.
So, can you tell us about some of the funniest moments you've had in a haunt before?
My wife is deathly afraid of Jason Voorhees. So, quick backstory. She was, I don't know, 15, 16, and one of the neighborhood boys snuck into her closet with a Jason mask on and waited till the middle of night to jump on her in her bed. So this has
Oh my God.
completely freaked her out for years. And Brighton Asylum in New Jersey used to do a Night of the Creeps in the off season, and now it's halfway to Halloween, but I'll yell at Rich later about that.
Mhm.
It was, the whole house was different horror themes. They had, Freddy, House of a Thousand Corpses with an amazing Otis and Baby. And he just walked through movies. So we turn this corner and it's this lady in a sweater saying, they should have been watching him. They were busy making love. So I knew what was coming. So I let my wife go first. And you go over this bridge and there's a cabin, there's a boat. I'm like, all right, here it comes. And this dude was, no lie, 6'7", tallest dude I've ever seen. He grabs her and starts pulling her over the bridge. She is screaming, kicking her feet, and I am holding the bridge at the other end, not letting her go. So he tortured her for like 3 minutes in this scene.
Oh my
She
God.
got into the next room and she hyperventilated on the floor. That's probably my funniest haunt moment. It was that, and she still hits me for that today. Yeah, that would be.
You know what I love at Brighton is their Pennywise
Yes, it's
scene.
one of the best. It's a little short. My favorite scene is that hallway with the wind blowing in the windows and all the curtains. Oh,
I love that so much.
it's so beautiful.
Oh my God. I've been there twice. The first time I went was with Tyler and Nora. We went for their Valentine's haunt in 2024. And that was so cool. And I was shooting video at the time, and I tried so hard to get that just framed so perfectly, because it's so hard to get that on video in a way that captures the experience that you're feeling in that moment. That is the coolest effect I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's out of the movie. That is why I love doing these. You get to walk through movies. You know what I mean? This was so cinema. It was cinema.
It
The
really is.
the lightning's crashing, the thunder's roaring, the wind's blowing, and there's something and it feels like it's 100 feet long, but it isn't. And you reach the end, and when they did Night of the Creeps, they would have The Shining down at the end with his axe, start chopping at the door next to him. But I think normally it's just a statue or something. But yeah, that scene. Every time someone brings up Brighton Asylum, you know how certain scenes pop into your head when someone names that's that for Brighton for me is that
Oh,
hallway.
100%. Yeah, I think there's an animatronic at the end of that hallway that does like a jump scare now, but it's, oh my
Yes,
God,
yes,
it's
yes.
so cool. That scene alone is like, wow. You stick this scene in any haunt and you have immediately boosted your special effects score. You've
Yep.
boosted your immersion score. You've boosted your scare factor score. You've just boosted almost everything that's not human based.
Yeah, and I've watched normies walk through there, and they're just as amazed too. Like it works on both sides.
He calls them normies.
I do.
I love it.
Well, my picture of a normie, and that's the conversations I have with haunt owners. You know, we know these guys personally, so when
Right.
they get that Google review that doesn't go that well, they talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, guy, you got to remember, this dude has one flannel shirt for Pumpkin Patch Day with the kids, and then they go to a haunted house. That's it. That's his extent of haunt knowledge. So that's the guy writing all these Google reviews. You think that's true? I'm like, I know it's true.
I
Jimmy from, they're going pumpkin with the kids, and then they're going to go to the Bates Motel at night. That's what they do every Halloween. That's all they know. They tried something different. It wasn't their favorite haunt. So now they're going to tee off on Google because there's nothing else to do.
right. And it's so hard to go off of the Google reviews and the Facebook
Oh, yeah.
reviews and to say that like, oh, this is a good haunt to visit or this isn't. But I think it is worth reading through those and saying like, do I think there's any nuggets of truth in here? Does anything sound like a valid complaint or a valid praise of what they're doing?
For me, I'll look through like those for like customer service type deals.
Sure.
I'm not going off of them for length or this wasn't scary or I waited in line. I'll look through like, this guy was an asshole, or excuse my French, this guy was not being nice.
Oh, you could swear on this show. I say fuck all the time.
Oh, okay, good. That's fine. I don't know how to watch my mouth. I warned Nora that she'll get over it. But that's what I'll use those for when I'm checking out a new place to go. And of course, the scare factor directory.
On the flip side of that, right, is like you get the people who are going, and like you said, it's not their favorite haunt, so they're rating it poorly, and they're, well, I didn't like this, they did do this well, blah, 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 right? And it's because it's not the one haunt that they've been seeing for the last decade. And I'm like, no, I get it. It's a valid opinion to have. You're not familiar enough with the industry as a whole to know whether or not they're doing something good. So you're posting your opinion. That's what a review is. It's your opinion.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're just giving you our opinion. It's just the fact of the matter is that our opinion encompasses a wide swath of what the industry as a whole is doing. But on the flip side of this, I have been to some haunts where I'm not going to say names. I'm not even going to say like where they are, but like we've all been to the haunts where it's like, it's not that good. It's like, it's okay if you live really locally to it and you've got nothing else going on a Saturday night in October, right? It's going to be an okay time. But you go to their Facebook and it's filled with 5-star reviews and people going like, this is the scariest haunt in the air. Like, no, it's not. Okay. Let's just start
Let's
there.
relax.
It isn't. Let's start with this claim right here. It's the scariest haunt. It is not. Okay. It just objectively cannot be, because there's 3 other haunts within 10 miles of this place where people are saying it's the scariest haunt. You can't all be the scariest haunt.
America's number one haunted attraction.
That's right.
My favorite tagline.
This is the number one haunt podcast on the internet.
I have the number one haunt podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, that's funny.
This is the
Yeah,
number one
that's
haunt
so.
podcast on the internet. That's
I love it.
we're not looking at actual ratings. No. Just
Can't look at
we're
views. Views don't matter.
we're not
It's how you
counting.
feel inside.
We're not counting actual views or anything. No, but
Oh, I
I
run mine the same way.
yeah, but I think that like I said a long time ago that I'm A-okay with being the Howard Stern of the haunted attraction industry.
Yep. I told my wife, I'm like, listen, we're going to be the first adult-centered YouTube review content, whatever, towards haunted attractions because I'm not going to coat myself for kids. I can't do it. I can't fake it. I can't fake scream through a haunt. I can't do it. I cannot bring myself to do it.
And I don't think that we do either. I don't think
No,
we're
you
like
don't.
sugarcoating
You do not.
things. But
Nope.
we're also not like, I think our format of reviews is I don't want to say it's fundamentally different from what you're doing, right? Because like ultimately we are kind of coming from the same place.
Yeah, we're all going to judge the same thing, but we're all going to judge it differently. So that's why, like, we could easily coexist and have for years. And but like, but you guys are taking years of experience. We're taking years of experience. We have others popping up, and this might be out of line, but I watched a YouTuber and another YouTuber walk to a haunted house that had not one actor in it and screamed the entire time, and just over the top scream. And I could watch it for about 5 minutes. I had to turn it off, and it really annoyed me to the point that I'm talking about it on your podcast.
Well, the reason it annoyed you is because you're not a 14-year-old girl who exists purely on brain rot.
Yeah, that's the one thing I told my wife is like, listen, if kids watch, that's on them. I'm not
Yeah.
changing for them. This is more towards the industry. I want owners to watch this and be like, you know what? He does have a point. I want actors. What we do in the off season is we interview everyone. Actors, owners, makeup artists, builders. I just had a media company on. I
Mhm.
want the entire gambit of the industry on my show. And it also fills in time when we can't go to haunts. But I learned so much. And it's really become what I want to
Yeah.
learn. And we tried branching out. We tried horror reviews. Boom. We tried a paranormal episode. We were invited out to Laurel's House of Horror. Love you, Mandy. We promised them we would shoot a video. The wife really wanted to do it. I'm like, you guys both know no one is going to watch this, right? They're like, no, I think they will. Okay. So we did the whole video. It kept shutting down my computer when I was editing. It took me 5 days to make this video. When I put it out, I think it got to like 20 views. I was like, I told you. So I've really pigeonholed myself into haunted attraction stuff. That's all they watch.
Yeah, and that's part of being a content creator too, is,
Yep,
kind of
it is.
understanding who your audience is and understanding what they want. It's I mean, I've done the live streaming thing before, and that's difficult. It really is because, not only are you trying to draw people into your channel, but you got to keep them there now. And you got to do it
Yeah.
live. You can't go back and edit and like, this is stupid. I think this joke I'm making is falling flat or something. It's just you have to roll with it in the moment.
Right. Yeah. We do 2 live shows a year from a hatchet house. He owns Bloodshed Farms in New Jersey. He just bought a hatchet house. So to try and strum him up some business while also having a cool place to do a live show. Some of them are good, some of them just don't do anything. The live shows are tough.
They are. They really are. So something we discussed in a previous episode on this season was so we were talking about the anatomy and physiology of haunts, basically the biology of what happens to us physically when we're going through a haunt. And one of the things we discussed a little bit, and we had some speculation as to what's going on here. But so vortex tunnels, right? I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with them.
Yes.
And so, you walk into them, they make you dizzy. That's the point. Now, something I've noticed is that if I walk through a vortex tunnel backwards, the effect seems to be slightly diminished. And so my question for you is that something you've ever tried, or do you have any methods of reducing that effect?
I'm going to be completely honest. They don't affect me at all.
I'm
My
so
wife,
jealous.
they completely destroy. So what we've learned is if my wife looks down at the bridge you're going over, she's completely fine.
Interesting.
So her looking down, because you still see it from the sides, but I guess you don't have the full frame to throw off your equilibrium. Walking backwards is an idea too. But yeah, we found that she has to look down to get through them without being completely like torn up.
Well, I mean, when we were at Woods of Terror, I got to try out because we did behind the scenes. Oh, here's a vortex tunnel. I think when it was behind the scenes, I tried your method of walking through backwards, and it was still a disorienting effect.
So
my point with the vortex tunnel, when we talked about that, was that your eyes are taking in this swirling pattern, and they're giving you one signal. Your inner ear is telling you, no, you're perfectly balanced as you're walking through, and it's that miscommunication or getting mixed signals in your brain that gives you the disoriented feeling. Probably your wife looking down at the pathway that you're walking on, kind of ignoring the swirling that's going around. She's staring at something that's agreeing with what the inner ear is telling her.
That's what I'm thinking. Even though Woods of Terror had a grate, right? It wasn't a solid floor. I think it was a grate, right? Yeah. So even with the grate, it helped her because those tear her up. And then she goes through, 30, 40 of them a year?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, feel the Scream.
Everybody has them, but...
Feel the Scream's Hayride has it on their hayride.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like you drive through one of them on a hayride cart.
I don't think I've ever done that on a hayride. Experienced a vortex.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. So
that's got to be tough doing that several times a night.
I know she can't look left when she's, left meaning the front of the carriage. She'd have to look at the wall just spinning instead of seeing where you're going, causing that spin. She has to look at the main wall.
Ah, interesting. That might be something I try. So I'm going to try both of those methods this year if I come across any vortex tunnels. I'm going to try looking down, and then I'm also going to try kind of just staring straight to my right or left, just to see if that helps.
Because I think the spinning in your peripheral is what causes all that miscommunication.
Yeah, it's kind of giving that turning over sort of feeling.
Yeah, it's never. Maybe one time I felt like I was turning to the side, but very rare anymore.
Yeah, it's something that I've noticed is worse with age for me. Yeah, and I'm wondering if maybe so in that episode where we talked about the biology and the anatomy and physiology of what's going on. Vince was talking about how our vision works, and he was explaining how, we have the rods and the cones, and, so if you hold something kind of far enough off to the side, like it's out of your peripheral vision. And, it's like at some point you can just start to see it, and I'm wondering if, a majority of that spinning is happening in that section where like she can detect the motion, but it's not really like the point of focus.
Right.
So I'm wondering if that's part of what's going on there.
I know she said looking down helped her at Woods on Saturday. So
interesting. So it's something to try. Yeah, we're gonna keep investigating this phenomenon. we'll check back with you in season 5. We'll check back with you next season to see we'll see what actually works and what doesn't. Yeah. So I don't know, 20 minutes ago or something, I mentioned we were going to talk about some of your reviews.
Okay.
Yeah. So your reviews, man, you have a lot.
Yeah, we've been a lot of places.
You have. So one of the ones that I watched, and I'm hoping we can talk about this a little bit because I've also been to this haunt, is Nightmare's Fear Factory in Niagara Falls. It's on the Canadian side.
Yes.
So in my written review, I started it off with the sentence, Niagara Falls, twin cities of romance, natural beauty, and it's all better from the Canadian side. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Yes.
So far, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
It's much prettier from the Canada side, yes.
It really is. So Nightmare's Fear Factory, so you guys were talking about, like, there are a couple of actors. How many were you able to count physically that you encountered
physically,
in there?
I know we saw 3, but I don't know if that was just one in multiple spots, because you know how they pull that off. And then I know there was 3 in 3 different spots. So I don't know if that's the same dude, because you couldn't see him because of what Nightmare's Fear Factory is.
So I encountered, I encountered one that I know of for sure, and it's the guy kind of early on in the clown mask waving the chainsaw around. The the
Okay.
strobe light hits him. So like
Yeah.
I noticed right away this is a person in a mask with a prop.
We definitely had one mid-roll because he
Mhm.
was knocking on the wall next to my head,
Mm,
like on our side of the wall.
interesting. So
And
I
he
don't
whispered
think I remember
something.
that. I do remember a sort of
Either that or the
whispering
police
somewhere.
So,
I highly doubt it's that.
yeah, me too.
That's a whole other discussion. I don't believe in ghosts. Yeah, so there was you guys were talking about in your video how they have a very unique claustrophobia tunnel. And you didn't really want to get into the details of it, like I get it, you want to preserve some of the magic. I want to talk about this. This is one of the coolest claustrophobia tunnels.
All right, we can do it now. It's been a year.
And I don't think they're ever going to change it no matter what happens. I mean, I have
I
it in
wouldn't.
print. So their claustrophobia tunnel, you walk into the hallway and the bags are deflated. And as you're walking through, they start inflating.
Yes.
It's so cool. Like, you have no idea what the hell is going on. Now, I'm an idiot and I walk fast and I got to the end before they were fully inflated. And I'm like, where do I go? And I tried to go back to where I came from. And I'm like, what is in my way?
Yep.
That would be my question. How fast do they inflate?
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty quickly. I would say maybe 10 to 15 seconds. They go from totally deflated to completely inflated.
Yeah, I would say about that. Yeah.
Because they're using like big, powerful fans to pump those out. So,
And they're the hard kind, not the silky ones. They're the canvas you got to push.
yeah, they're like the tarp, the
Yeah.
cheap like blue tarp material. Yeah, they those things are built to last. Yeah, so that was really cool. I really love that. What did you guys think of the shrinking room?
That it's you don't really know what's happening because you can't see anything, but that was cool too. Because you kind of get turned around in the shrinking room and not really know where to go because you kind
Right.
of miss where the light went. Because it's over now. You follow a trail of red lights.
Yep.
That's basically your way through the haunt. And I remember the shrinking room now that you brought that up. Yeah, because you kind of get turned around at that point too. Like, we went this way. How do we go that way again?
Yeah. Yeah, that was about those red lights. It's so easy to get fixed on those. And then you have no idea what's going on. The one thing where I wholeheartedly agreed with you is they have one of the highest scare factor scores simply because you can't know when something is coming.
Right.
It's like you have no input as to what's going on. Yeah, so that shrinking room is really cool. But again, I'm an idiot and I just kind of backed up into a corner because I'm like, I don't know where else to go, and the room was shrinking. I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna die now.
I guess it
And
was my hope.
yeah, and so I just kind of like backed up into a corner, and then at some point the wall stopped moving, and I was like, and then the door opened, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I go this way.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was fun. It's I may have at some point started shouting 3PO shut down all the trash compactors on the detention level.
Yeah, it was a creepy walk. It's probably my second favorite Blackout maze, opposed to Reaper's Revenge Pitch Black. That's my number one all time. I'm not a huge Blackout guy. I'm a scene guy. I like pretty stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of times Blackout mazes are just lazy, and I'm not a fan. But they did a good job, and Pitch Black or Reaper's Revenge did an amazing job.
Yeah, we actually in a previous season we did a whole episode on like Blackout haunts, what they are, where do they excel, what's good about them, what's not good about them. My whole thing was that like so much of what you experience at a haunt is what you can see.
Yeah.
You can't, it's so hard to have a compelling narrative when you can't see anything.
Yeah. It was a talk I had with Carlos, who just created Harrow's Nightmare last year. I'm like, all right, so next year we're going to take out the Blackout part, right? It's only a couple seconds. I was only busting his balls. And he goes, man, I'll tell you what, people like it. I'm like, I know. That's the problem in this industry. People do like the Blackout, and that's why we still have them.
Yeah, I mean, there's
I think,
haunts I go to that, they do a short little Blackout maze section, and
yeah.
it's annoying at best. But I get it. It's a great opportunity for a really easy jump scare on, even somebody like me who is walking down the hallway and goes, "That's a dark corner. I'll bet you there's an actor in there."
Uh-huh. Yeah. Sometimes I have to shut my brain off and think as a normie. So
It's
that gets me into trouble at times too.
it's so hard, right?
I was actually going to interrupt you when you were talking earlier and segue back. How about Jarad? You mentioned growing up Jersey Shore, and haunts are what people did back then. How many haunts were there around you, and what's
Not many. No, I'm not going to say there was tens and 20. We had about, I think, actually, we never had one. There might have been one or two, but like Wildwood, Ocean City, they weren't haunts. They were the tourist haunts, is what I call them. The walking dark rides. That's what I got to grow up in. Where like Castle Dracula and Wildwood. I didn't get to see it, but the Brigantine Castle, my wife actually went through that when she was little. That it was basically, the start of what we have today. Everyone was in black cloaks and white face.
and they were described as a
And
walking
then,
dark ride.
yeah, because, you had the funny little gags that you have in the dark ride.
So what drew you to going to your first haunt?
Castle Dracula Wildwood. It was a giant castle on the boardwalk. I really wanted to see what was inside. I was already a huge fan of Nightmare on Elm Street at a very unresponsible age from my parents. And they had Dracula just sitting out there all day telling you to come in. I'm like, "That's Dracula. I want to go in." So I think I finally talked my dad into going in, and I did. And I still remember the smell because it smelled like tar, like roofing tar, like burning tar.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know why it always smelled like that. People have tried to explain it to me, but it hasn't made sense. And I was, what, 5 or 6 walking through here? Maybe, I think I was 5. And then I went through, and then we did more stuff on the boardwalk. And Lori's Pier and the Middle Pier had a little container haunt. Like, God, I want to go through that one. Like, all right, fine. So he sent me through that one. So yeah, I talked him into sending me through the second container haunt, and really between my horror fascination, it just clicked. I think my love for horror just had me feel like I was walking through horror movies. And every time I saw one on the boardwalk, I went. Anytime I see a new one, I try to get to it.
That's awesome. So is that like one of your first memories of being scared in a haunt is going to that, or?
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't remember being scared. More like, this is really cool. Like I always took to the creepy. You know what I mean? It's just the horror. I watched every horror movie I could get my hands on when I was a little kid.
Back in the day when I was young, and there were 3 channels on television or something like that. It was like I was always living for the Saturday afternoon that they would show one of the old black and white horror movies.
Oh yeah.
Frankenstein, the Wolfman.
Speaking of Frankenstein and Wolfman, can we try and find out why it took the park so long to make an epic universe for the brands that made your company?
I think because there's been such this renewed interest in the classic Universal monsters.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for let's say we have some listeners, because I know there is at least one listener out there. There's one listener who's never been to a haunt before. Do you have any advice for them? For why should they go to a haunt? What would be a good way for them to experience their first haunt?
So I got to listen to Alan Hobbs this weekend, and he said it's the ultimate date night because you can really feel out your date. So if you guys are starting to date, if the dude chucks you into a actor and runs, it's probably not the dude for you. I don't know if you get one of you were at Woods Tire and probably heard that. I thought that was really funny. But for me, it's a fun night out. Let go of your beliefs, enjoy the story they're telling you, and just have fun that night. Don't worry about, well, that fire looks fake. It can't be real fire, big guy.
That's right.
Just let your imagination run. Listen to the story. Go on the website and see if the haunt has a story, because it helps add to the mystique of what you're walking through. A lot of them do. That's what I do when I go.
Yeah, and I've talked to this person before, and I'm like, why don't you go to haunts, right? Like, you should go to one, go see one. And the answer is always that he does scare very easily. So I was like, look, I totally get it. My advice for anybody that's listening that is thinking like maybe you want to go see a haunt this year, my advice to you is find one that has been reviewed by somebody like us at the Scare Factor, or like somebody like Jarad at Halloween Haunts 365. Find one that has a lower like scary sort of score, right? So ours is the Scare Factor. You call yours Fear Factor. I think pretty much every reviewer is scoring that.
We just installed a scream meter, which I count how many times Terry screams. That's my scream meter. I have a whole clip and everything.
So wait, you use your wife kind of like the way that we will sometimes follow another group in, because I want to see how, as we call it, the normies, or as you call it, the normies, we just say normal people. How does a normal person react in this setting?
So my advice for anybody listening that's never been to a haunt because you think it's going to be too scary for you, find one that's been reviewed by a reputable reviewer, like one of us here on this episode, and find a haunt that has a lower, fear factor or scare factor sort of score. You're looking for one that's pretty low, you're going to get a few scares here and there, you're going to get a few jumps, but you're not going to be peeing your pants, right? You're not doing the victim experience. You're not doing, you're not going to see Hell's Gate. You're not going to see Evil Intentions. You're going to see what's, let's be honest, probably a family-friendly haunt. And I don't say that to disparage family-friendly haunts, because I have seen some great ones.
Oh, yeah, there's some good ones out there.
But the fact remains they do tend to just score a bit lower on that scare factor scale, right? It's part of that, I think, is because they can't get too controversial in their scenes. So they do end up limiting themselves to what they can show and what they can do in terms of, scenes they can depict.
Yeah, I'd completely agree.
But that is a whole other episode right there.
Yeah, that's a big number.
Well, Jarad, I would like to thank you so very much for coming on to this episode today. It has absolutely been a pleasure. Where can people find you and the things that you create?
Oh, boy. All right. So we're everywhere. You can find us mainly on our YouTube channel, because we are probably going to cut the audio stream. We don't get a lot from the quote-unquote podcast channel. But YouTube at Halloween Haunts 365. You can find us at HalloweenHaunts365.com. That's where you can see where we've been, where we're going. All our YouTubes are posted there. There's a merch store. You can get tickets to the Terror Tour coming to Pittsburgh this year. We're excited about that. Only 5 seats left, so we're doing a good job of selling that out. It's 5 haunts, 3 days. It's going to be a great time. Find us on TikTok. Our biggest follower total is on TikTok, so come on over and enjoy the reels I post daily. Facebook, same thing. YouTube, Instagram, same thing.
Awesome. I'll make sure I click follow on everything from all of my accounts.
But I definitely want to thank you guys for having me on. I love talking haunts, and this is flew by. I can't believe we've been on the phone this long.
Oh my god, yeah, this will be a long episode. If you've stuck around to the end, thank you. Give us a follow, give us a like, comment down below. What was your favorite part of this long, rambly journey that we've just been on? Me and Vince are from The Scare Factor. You can follow The Scare Factor on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Check out our website, thescarefactor.com, to read reviews, find haunts, and check out the newest section, Spooky Spots, where you'll find fun and spooky places to go all year round. The Scare Factor is now an affiliate of Frankenfuel energy drinks for weirdos like you. Yes, you! You can get 15% off your order today by going to frankenfuel.com/scarefactor, or by clicking the affiliate link in the show's description. Frankenfuel. Wake the dead, fuel the living. Thank you so much to Jarad of Halloween Haunts 365.
Our honor. Honored to be on. Thank you so much.
Dr. Vince of Team Skulleton Crew.
Yes, have a great week and a scary week.
I've been Bryan of Team Skelegore. That's been the Scare Factor Podcast. Stay scary.